Hello, Packers fans, and welcome into our Packers News Friday edition of our Q&A. Before we get into your questions, of which I'm sure there are plenty, we've got a little bit of news to catch you up on. I don't think the news has stopped yet this week, Tom. Have you been able to catch your breath yet this week?
Let's just say I'm lucky I have showered today. That is quite an accomplishment. I've been going since 7 a.m. this morning, and it's just nuts.
Yeah, this is one of those things. This is one of those weeks where you schedule time to brush your teeth.
Yes.
Even then, you're lucky.
And I'm neither agreeing or denying that I've brushed my teeth today.
We won't get into that.
Okay.
That's your own choice. We heard a lot today about things being your own choice. Aaron Rodgers made an unscheduled appearance on the Pat McAfee show. That's something he has a standing date every Tuesday with them. He went on today because, of course, he has time. He has extra time. He's sitting at home in quarantine for at least until November 13th, possibly longer, depends on how his tests come back after testing positive for COVID-19 on Wednesday. He revealed today on the McAfee show that he started to have symptoms on Tuesday night and that he tested positive on Wednesday and then feels better by Friday. He was around Kurt, the practice squad quarterback, but Aaron Rodgers says that he got it from a vaccinated person. Of course, we don't necessarily know the status of the other quarterbacks. Jordan Love did clarify today he is vaccinated, but he's wearing his mask as part of being a close contact, COVID protocols. Tom, I watched the entire Rodgers interview on the McAfee show. I want to get your opinion on it, though. I know you kind of got a chance to listen through to it as well. What was your biggest takeaway?
Well, the biggest thing is that he did it on a Friday before the Packers are getting ready to play a really big game against Kansas City. And I sort of question the timing of it because, this is supposed to be all in on Jordan Love and his chance and them keeping their 7-game winning streak going. And there's a potential for a ton of distraction. Now, I think the Packers are somewhat insulated from it. They definitely have their Twitter going, and I'm sure they've got friends and relatives going, WTF and all that kind of stuff. But it just wasn't a good timing. Now, what Rodgers did was, and he denied that he was taking the anti-vaxxer viewpoint, but he proceeded to go with all the anti-vaxxer language, all of the arguments that anti-vaxxer campaign has used, and he essentially ripped the NFL, media, I guess the pharmaceutical companies, the health system, I don't know, decaffeinated coffee, whatever. He had a lot of gripes. And, he kept claiming that he didn't lie or he didn't deceive anybody. And that lost him a lot of legitimacy, I think, on Twitter, or at least on social media, where people were confounded that he said that he was immunized and had said yes to being vaccinated. So I think that's my initial take on it. I don't know if it's a good look for him. I think it's a bad look for him, really. But time will tell whether I'm right about that.
Right. And I think it may be important to clarify the issue seems to stem not from whether or not he's vaccinated. That's a decision everybody has to make on their own. Everyone has their own reasons. He did explain that he's allergic to something that is in the mRNA shot, and that is why he was suggested to not take it. That's something between, I guess, him and his doctors. I think where the issue has stemmed from is that it became sort of are the Packers protecting him? Are they letting him get away with protocols or breaking protocols? Because I think at one point he said, I haven't broken any of the rules except for the one I just told you about. which was like saying, I haven't done anything wrong except for the stuff that I did wrong. That's where it becomes an issue, because the NFL and the league, which he was sort of speaking out against, which, it's his own prerogative, but the NFL is still a private business. They can come back and fine you for conduct detrimental to the league, to the team, for things you say. Like it or not, they are a private business. This is not a publicly owned company. This does not fall under the First Amendment or anything like that. It's a private company. They can fine their workers. Does that then put the Packers in a bad position on what's supposed to be a dreamlike season?
Well,
Losing their quarterback. Would you agree that's sort of,
no.
Aside of anything he said, would you agree that's where the issue stems from, or do you think something else?
So one of the statements he made was that he didn't sign on. He didn't sign anywhere where they could dictate to him about his life. But he did sign a contract, and his union, which by being unionized gives him all kinds of rights lots of other people don't have in terms of what they can force you to do and what they can't, has a collective bargaining agreement. And he is part of that. And so for him to say that, he didn't sign up to abide by what they're trying to do is really disingenuous. And it smacks so much of privilege, because how many people in healthcare settings, nurses, doctors, the people who are exposed, have to get vaccinated or they lose their jobs. And it's because of health reasons and because they're trying to save health for the greater population. And he's saying, no, it's all doesn't matter. Why, if I have a mask on, or if I don't have a mask on and you're all sitting there with masks and are vaccinated, there's no danger. Well, he's not using science. He's using the Joe Rogan show, as he said, to back up his arguments.
Right. And like you said, he did sign a contract. So he's been a rep for the NFLPA in the past. That's a collective bargaining agreement put together by the PA and the league. Every player that is a part of the PA agreed, in theory at least, to those protocols. If you don't, you give up your membership, I would assume, which loses your standing amongst the team and at the negotiating table. And I think that's kind of like, in terms of the Packers, because people keep saying, let's talk about the Packers. Let's get back to the team. Let's get back to football. Okay. Getting back to football and back to this team, putting the team in a position where they could now be punished, or where you could be punished. And then the team who is trying to make another Super Bowl run is losing their MVP quarterback. That's in terms of in that football building, that would seem to me to be the issue, not his opinion on the vaccine or whether he got it or not, but by not following the protocols that the NFL and the NFLPA put into place, are you now putting your team and your goals for this season in jeopardy?
Well, okay, first, we don't know, other than the press conferences, we don't know whether he violated the protocol. And he wouldn't be alone in violating it if he were, in terms of not wearing a mask at press conferences. Kirk Cousins does it. Cole Beasley does it. There are several other people who do. So that's kind of on the NFL for not either warning him, punishing him, or whatever. They seem to have let that slip. So I can't blame him for breaking that protocol. Now, he says that he's worn a mask, done all the protocols behind closed doors, but we also know about the Halloween party, which he didn't bring up. And that could wind up being a factor. It could wind up costing him some money, maybe a game, probably not a game, but maybe. But it wouldn't hurt the Packers if it's done outside. So I don't know that this is going to wind up being, I don't think they're going to find a ton. I think they are going to find some stuff where maybe he's walking around without a mask, or other guys were, and they might get fined, but I don't think this is going to come. I don't think the hammer is going to fall on them.
Okay.
That's just my gut feeling right now.
Yeah. They do still have a game this Sunday. Jordan Love will get his first start. I think we have a couple of questions up here concerning the game. Let me find it. Where did it go? This one's specifically about tight ends. With Bobby Tunyon out for the year, I'll be honest, this is still my first week. I'm not sure how to pronounce that name.
DeGuara. He's spelled right, but it's DeGuara.
Will he have a bigger vertical role?
I think so. I think they're going to have to work him down the field a little bit. Now, he's not Robert Tonyan. I mean, Robert Tonyan is a former wide receiver who can run down the field and has great hands. DeGuara is kind of a Swiss knife type of guy. He can do a little bit of everything. So I would not expect him to be as much of a threat, but I do think they will use him down the field. I think that's definitely likely.
And then Jordan Love spoke today for the first time would that have been the first time since draft night that he's spoken, other than maybe training?
No, he talked during training camp. And probably after the Saints. No, I don't think he did talk after the Saints game. So yeah, not since training camp.
I got to watch it. I know you did too. He seemed pretty calm for a guy that's getting, put under the microscope, or I guess maybe his teammate is getting a little bit more of the attention right now. But this is still going to be his first start. The organization poured so much into him, or so much trust into him. First rounder, obviously stepping onto the same field that's been occupied by Aaron Rodgers. That's a lot to live up to. Those are big shoes to fill. Did he sort of give you at least the air of confidence that he would need heading into this game today?
Well, yeah, I sort of felt it. The one thing that it has been consistent with him throughout the time that I've watched him play and practice is that he's pretty unflappable. He's like, you kind of wonder, man, does this guy need like a charge in him? Because he is so calm. He really, his demeanor is, very, very calm. He doesn't seem to be rattled, even after you give up a sack and a fumble against New Orleans. I don't think it's in his nature to be that way. Now, that's probably a good thing. But what they really need to see is, can he lead? Can he make plays in clutch situations? Can he get his guys to focus when maybe the focus isn't so good? Can he get to the line, tell guys, hey, look, I'm going to get them to jump off sides here. Don't move, things like that.
Which is a Rodgers specialty.
Yeah, and he is good at it. He is really good at it. He did it a bunch of times in the preseason. But things like directing guys, when they line up, and it always happens, someone lines up the wrong place. Does he get them over there quick enough? Does he get the plays in? Is he, he's going to have to talk to his offensive line. I think all those things are yet to be seen, but just looking at him from the outside, he looks like this isn't too big for him.
Right. This is an interesting question. I think it says, if Love struggles, does Bortles get a chance? I would think he would have to. And correct me if I'm wrong, they would they'll have to elevate him from the practice squad
and they
on
will.
Saturday, correct? And they should.
Yeah, they have to. They have to have a backup quarterback. I don't think Bortles will play. I just don't think he'll play at all. I think even if it's a blowout, if the Packers are getting blown out, 100-0, I think they still want Jordan Love in there. Bortles, he'd have a very limited playbook. Yeah, he could hand off. He can do all the run plays. I think it'll only be if if something happens to Love.
Okay. This is an interesting one. I've seen this floated around a couple of times today on social media. Any chance the Packers get Odell? He was cut today by the Browns. And before you answer, let me just add this clarification. He cannot be picked up off waivers until 4 p.m. on Monday. So if you do get him, he's not coming in and playing versus the Kansas City Chiefs.
Oh, no, not
Monday.
at all.
But do they make a play for him? Is that at least a call you have to make?
They can't put in a waiver claim for him because, I mean, I haven't looked up the cap numbers, but they would be taking on a huge salary, and I don't know what he's got left.
I'm going to double check this while you kind of talk through if he would be valuable to this unit or not. I think he and the Browns negotiated that to help other teams pick him up. But
Yeah.
don't quote
So,
me on that yet.
okay. Either way, the one thing they risk with that picking him up is, do you bring attention away from Devontae Adams? Are you diluting what Devontae Adams does for you? Right now, they're not having a problem getting the ball to Devontae Adams. You know, when you need another receiver is when you can't get the ball to your best receiver and you need a threat on the other side. I don't think they need him. I think he is an extremely talented guy. I don't know what the chemistry would be like. I don't think Devontae Adams would be all that happy about it. Especially in the final year of his contract. I don't see it in the cards. I think they feel like they have a very special team right now, and they got a chance of getting MVS back this week. So my gut feeling is they don't do anything on it.
Okay. And just to clarify, it does look like he and the Browns were negotiating part of his salary cap to where his salary would be converted into a signing bonus, essentially, which would allow teams with less salary cap space to still sign him. That's a lot of legality that I'm not going to get into because there's a good chance I'm wrong.
It's hard because the Packers have pushed off all kinds of money. What it does is allows you to push money off. You can add some years and do the signing bonus, and that'll push some of the cap money off into future years. But the Packers are dug deep into the cap next year, and so I don't know if they want to do that. I think they would prefer he clear waivers, and then they'll see if maybe they want to do it.
Do you think OBJ clears waivers?
Yeah, I think it's possible. Yeah, I think there's some teams who, if you're Jacksonville, why the heck not? Wouldn't you pick him up? You got cap room, you got a young quarterback who could use a wide receiver. You just got to make sure that he's willing to come. Is he gonna, decide he doesn't want to play for that team, or I don't know.
Which is always a possibility with Odell. Okay. I think you or I or Ryan have talked about this a little bit this week, but just wanted to touch on it again. Larry says that the Packers will run the ball very well on Sunday. They can't stop us on the ground. Granted, the Chiefs haven't been able to stop much of anybody so far this year. But is that the best game plan, is to lean on your running game, especially for a quarterback making his first start?
It might. I think Kansas City is going to load the line of scrimmage, and I think they're going to make it look like they're blitzing every single down, and they're going to make Jordan Love try to figure it out. And, the offensive line will take care of as much as they can, and then it'll be up to Jordan Love. And so you can run it right into that, teeth of that defense and try, but eventually you're going to have to pass it if they keep playing it like that. If they're playing single high safety and they're bringing 7, 8, 9 guys up in the box, that's what you drafted Jordan Love for, to throw the ball. And so you might as well try. But I do agree they have to establish the run in some form or another. And sometimes that means just running it and not, it doesn't necessarily mean being successful, but at least being threatening.
Yeah. William with an interesting question. Do you think LaFleur should be in the conversation for Coach of the Year?
I think so. I think so. I mean, geez, the guy's the best record tied for the best record after 40 games in his career. I mean, they've played tremendously. I mean, they haven't even played their best football, I don't think. And they're 7-1, and they went on the road without, a bunch of their offensive guys. They've made it through the year. without David Bakhtiari and for a while Elton Jenkins, and they just seem to have pushed all the right buttons. But let's address that at the end of the year when we know what their final record is. Hard to say. If you want to say, is he the coach of the year for the first half of the season? I'll put my vote in there.
Okay. This is an interesting one, but let's just go ahead and address it. What about Deshaun Watson?
No. Never. Not going to happen, ever.
Yeah. That with everything else going on, that would be a reach, I think, right now.
No.
Is there any update on Alexander? And I think somebody else had asked about that as well. Yes, about Za'Darius or Jair.
I do have an update on Alexander. So there's been, in fact, it was Rodgers who said on the McAfee show that Alexander got good news. And then Joe Barry kind of made it seem like he was cleared, but he is not. He's not cleared yet. They may know next week, but everything is still on the table. And it's almost like a weekly thing. It was sort of like I compare it to what happened when Rodgers broke his collarbone. Every week they'd go in and they'd x-ray it and they'd see how much it healed and is it, healing well enough. And I think that's what they're doing with Alexander. It's got to heal. He's doing rehab, and they have to make sure that it's not going to be worse when he comes back. So I don't think he's out of the woods quite yet. I think it's promising, but he's not coming back in the next couple of weeks, that's for sure.
And then someone had asked about Za'Darius as well.
I don't know. I don't have any inside information on that. I just think that he had back surgery. Mm-hmm. And if you tell me a guy's coming back in 6 weeks after back surgery, I'd bet you on it any day of the week. I think it's got to be at least a 2-month injury. That's just my gut feeling on that kind of thing based on, covering the league. He's around, but we don't really see him doing all that much. Unless you call tossing the football in the air to himself. He tends to do that. He looks good. He looks like he's not in pain or anything, but it's going to be a process to get him back on the field. I would say maybe they're hoping to get him back the last month of the season, maybe the last couple of weeks.
Perfect timing for that question then from Linda. When would he be eligible to return?
He's eligible right now. They could activate him anytime.
But you anticipate another few weeks.
Yeah, at least. I mean, we could be talking the playoffs. I don't know.
Okay. Well, we've got an exciting weekend ahead. We're going to see possibly the beginning of a new era with another Packers quarterback, or maybe actually, that's a word I probably can't say on social media. Never mind. It's not going to get any calmer, I imagine, in the next couple of days. This is a situation with the Packers at the quarterback position that's going to continue to evolve. We will keep you covered with all of it on PackersNews.com. Make sure you stay updated there. Tom, do you have any last words as we head off to Kansas City for the weekend?
Yeah, don't forget to join me on the live blog starting at about 2:45, 2:50. On Sunday, and I will be answering all your questions, giving you analysis and all that stuff as always. So hope to see you there.
Perfect. We'll see you from Kansas City this weekend. Thanks, guys.